No doubt, one of the most exciting positions for the Kansas City Chiefs this offseason has been that running back group. And we're going to dive into it a little more as we are going to trim our roster to the 53-man group going into Tuesday. And we're going to see if anything could shake and bake, maybe in the starting position, or if anyone might leave this group. But before we do dive into that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's talk a little bit about these running backs. Now, before we talk a little bit about these running backs, I got caught slipping and I forgot to announce key roster positions. There was 5 Kansas City Chiefs that were cut before the 53-man deadline, and I'm going to list them off right here. We have Roderick Johnson, the tackle, Dustin Crum, the cornerback, running back Tyon Fleet Davis, wide receiver Aaron Parker, and linebacker Mike Rose. Now, honestly, nothing too shocking or surprising out of this list. One name that did pop out to me was Roderick Johnson, just because when Orlando Brown was on his, little holdout, Roderick Johnson was taking those #1 reps at left tackle, and at least that made me believe that he might have had a position on this team. And we didn't hear too much of that moving through preseason and training camp, and apparently things quieted down and his spot was up for grabs and he is no longer with the team. There was other key guys that I liked on this list too, like Aaron Parker. I didn't even know who he was, honestly, and that could be on me, but he made an impressive catch against the Packers. And when I saw Parker, I thought of Sammy Parker, and I was like, oh, okay, he got his son out here balling for us. But of course, that's not the case whatsoever. But it was cool to see him make a play. Hopefully that tape goes around the league and he's able to surface with another team, or maybe stay on the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. Same with Fleet Davis too. We were also hyped for him. I knew he wouldn't make that initial roster. Maybe he is a good eligible practice squad guy too. Same thing with Jerrion Ely. He is still on the team right now at this moment, but coming Tuesday, I don't see him making this team, but he is another great practice squad eligible guy that everyone should keep their eyes out for. But this video is mostly going to focus on the running backs, and I know I've talked about them so much throughout the offseason, but now the time is here, and it's going to sound like I am switching up a little bit. And hey, we all got the right to change our minds here and there. Now, you guys have known I have been preaching about Clyde Helaire and how I feel like this could be his breakout year. And we have seen some positive things coming out of training camp with him. Now, will it translate to the game in the preseason? It really didn't. Now, maybe that's just because Reed wasn't showing too much of his hand and he didn't want to show too much of Clyde Helaire. I get it. It's preseason. Understandable. I completely understand that. But also, too, we showed our hands with a lot of different things too. Now, I know it's not going to be like play for play, scheme for scheme going into the regular season. But with a guy like Clyde Helaire, I think he needed to see more reps in preseason to see where he's at, to see how much he has improved. And we didn't get that. Like, what? Did he have as many carries as you can count on a hand? I could be incorrect with that, but that's what it feels like. We saw, I think, a lot more productivity out of guys like Isaiah Pacheco. He definitely showed up against the Packers. Same with Ronald Jones, too. He showed he deserves a roster spot. And Jerick McKinnon, he looks like, again, like, I don't want to say it, but he looks like the best back on the team. And as I always mention, that's no slight to Jerick McKinnon. It's just also kind of a disappointment if you think about that. You got a young stud in CEH. Now, Isaiah Pacheco, I believe, has the best chance of being the best back in the future on this team. But right now, with the veteran presence, with the guy who knows the playbook the most, you got to hand it to Jerick McKinnon. In the passing game, he's lethal. In the running game, he's lethal. I think there's no way he's losing his spot whatsoever. And that's when it was like up in the air or on the bubbles. Like, who would you rather have, a Ronald Jones or a Jerick McKinnon? I think Jerick McKinnon's spot's there. Even though he was signed later into the preseason or offseason than Ronald Jones, it's his veteran presence, and it's what he did last year and what he can do with this scheme. And he's shown hints that he still got it in the preseason, even after an injury that could have derailed him. He looks his same self even after the age of 30. So you got to focus on a guy like a Ronald Jones. Is like, does he have that roster spot on hold? And I think between today into Tuesday, and of course it can even happen after initial cuts too. He could be traded, he could be cut. It depends on the running backs that get released too. Let me catch my breath. For some reason I lost it. We back at it. So yeah, it's like Ronald Jones, like he can make the initial roster, but then he might not, because I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to any of this, but Running backs are starting to get released. There's starting to be trade rumors around main ones too, like guys like an Alexander Peterson. Peterson with the Vikings, but Alexander Madison, he's still with the Vikings. You got guys like Kenyon Drake who just got released. Sony Michel. Yes, they're lower tier. They're not better than CEH, but at the end of the day, can they provide a different asset or boost? Maybe. And I wouldn't even look too much into guys like a Sony Michel or who was the other guy I mentioned? See, I'm talking too fast. I'm too good for myself. But a guy like a Sony Michel or a Kenyon Drake, I wouldn't go that route. I would be interested in Madison. I think Madison, if you get him, he's your best back on your team. And the way my brain functions and works is I try to think all around because I know you can't have all these guys in the running back group. So there's going to be an odd man out. And it's funny to think about it. I don't think the odd man out is Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's got a future with Kansas City, and I think it's a very bright one. And then you look at the other three guys. I don't think Jerick McKinnon is on the bubble either. Like I mentioned, veteran presence, and he definitely has that asset in the passing game and running game where he is very effective. And surprisingly enough, you look at a guy like a Ronald Jones or a CEH. Now, CEH is not going to get cut whatsoever, so let's cut that out. Nor will he get traded. That's just plain and simple. But what I'm afraid to see going into the 2022 season is we get caught up into last year and even when he got injured the year before. When he's not effective and we just stick with that and we don't switch up. That can really be the Kansas City's biggest ineffectiveness going into the 2022 season. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not good and Kansas City sticks with that and then they abandon the run game, that's where Kansas City can struggle. And we know Reed, he's very trustworthy and he is very reliable with his guys where if he's going to ride with you, he's going to ride with you no matter your ups and downs. Yeah, he might bench you here and there, but at the end of the day, if you prove your worth and prove how good you are in this offense, you're going to play. So I know CEH is going to get the initial start, but if he struggles throughout September and throughout October, all I can hope for is you got a good group of guys to where rotate them in and out. And if a guy like Isaiah Pacheco proves he is ready before anyone expects, go with that hand. And that's what I was going to mention too, is like I would like to see more of a duo like Alexander Madison and Isaiah Pacheco. That would be deadly. But also too, I've hyped Clyde Edwards-Helaire this whole offseason, not to just slight him right now. I do feel like he can be effective in this offense, but I do feel like I think the most effective way he can be good in this offense is he can't see the ball every down. He can't be on the field every down. I would like Isaiah Pacheco, or I don't even want to go that way either, but like an Isaiah Pacheco or a Jerick McKinnon to be your run in between the tacklers type of guy. And then when you run your two running back sets, you have Clyde out there to be your switch of pace back or your guy who's receiving out of the backfield. Thankfully, every back on this team can do that, but I don't know if you should run with Clyde Edwards-Helaire as your number one running back. I still have all the faith in him. It's just got to be proven. And right now, seeing it in the preseason, I didn't see anything. So that was kind of scary when at least we saw things from a Jerick McKinnon, even a Ronald Jones. When we asked Ronald Jones to step up, he proved himself. So that was really good to see. And then the grown man. We all love Isaiah Pacheco, so we're all going to keep hyping him up. And then I'm going to focus on Ronald Jones here a little bit too, is I don't know if Kansas City is going to run with 4 running backs. They most definitely can, but I don't know if that's going to be the end result. That's why I say he might make that initial 53-man roster. That doesn't mean he's on this team, though. Like, Kansas City could still be shopping him for a late draft pick or, like, another player that they feel can help boost this team better. Also, too, he is a veteran running back, and he's got youth to him, so I can see Kansas City running with 4 running backs. But if they run with 4, you got to think, too, Mike Burton, is he in that running back group? That's 5. So that's very heavy in that position, too. That's why when you start thinking about CEH, you start thinking about what he's done and what he has not done, it's like, it's definitely time to put up or shut up. And I wouldn't be surprised if KC literally has him on a thin leash and they're like, you got to provide quickly. Because I don't think they'll cut him. I don't think they'll trade him like I mentioned earlier. But they can't have him like be the starting running back throughout the whole season and not him produce and show anything. They literally have to have it rotating out. Like, if he has good stretches in games where it's like he proves he needs to be in the lineup, of course, keep him there. He deserves his job. But this running back group is so deep that you can rotate in and out no matter what, and Reed needs to stick to those guns. If someone struggles, next man up. And that also brings me to what I mentioned earlier with we're releasing players, everybody's releasing players, and there's a lot of like good veteran presence, some running backs, and some young guys out there. So it's going to be interesting to see how Kansas City views this running back group going into the regular season, because if there's a guy that catches their eye, that switches the whole game plan up immensely. So I don't think this is going to be the final set for this running back group. I think there'll be a little switch up here that maybe none of us anticipate, but it's going to be fun to watch coming into Tuesday. But Chiefs Kingdom, let me know how you view Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Let me know how you view this running back group in a whole. But before I do cut this out, you already know what to do. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And with that, y'all take care. Peace!